Welcome, everyone, to episode 27 of Chasing Tales. This week, we're joined by a special guest, Josh from Liberty in a Can. This was their first year involved in hydroplane racing with the GP71 Wild One. First off, thanks for coming on, Josh.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for having us. It's been an amazing journey with the hydroplane community. And this right here is just testament, to how supportive y'all are, to sponsors in the sport. And beyond the exciting racing, it is one of our big decision factors for us to get involved.
That's awesome. So before we get into how you came involved in the sport and how that all started, can you tell us a little bit about your company, Liberty in a Can? How did you get started? What was the thought process behind coming out with something like that?
Yeah, no, really appreciate that. So Liberty in a Can is a 5 milligram low dose THC infused seltzer water. We have a lime and a watermelon flavor. It contains no sodium, carbs, nor sugars or sweeteners. So it's very much just a seltzer water that will give you, a nice smooth buzz. The way we came up with it, I have a background in supply chain management. I studied that in school. I came to work for Volkswagen in Chattanooga, Tennessee, after moving from school in Boston to do supply chain work for them. And I noticed a pretty bustling cannabis scene here that was really dominated by drinks, which I'd never seen in my life. Um, Eventually, I tried it after some consumer reluctance for probably 3 months. Um, and then I kind of delved deep with my two buddies from Parker and Magnus. I know Parker from summer camp for about 10, no, 13 years now. And Magnus was my best buddy from school. Um, and we delved deep into making it viable. And we're all patriotic Americans, and we haven't seen a brand that we thought represented our crowd too much in the cannabis beverage space and the cannabis space in general. And we wanted to just promote, our whole thing was to be patriotic, not political, which was it just used to be pretty commonplace in America, but not so much anymore. And we kind of wanted to rebrand that and foster community through go fast events and American tradition.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's excellent. I mean, it's really good to hear more about it. Definitely the Liberty in a Can, obviously, name speaks to that heritage of America. And I feel like you said, joining a sport like hydroplane racing, it's motorsports is kind of the backbone of American heritage. What led you into that versus other sports? Why hydroplane racing?
So, uh, well, it's a few reasons. One is the spectacle. Um, I think we all know, like, hydroplane racing is a spectacle of motorsport there that very few come. I don't think really anything comes close to touching for the most part. So we wanted to foster very experience based activations, and we thought just like the visceral in a positive way, but just the rumble and the excitement, especially it used to be supported so heavily by Budweiser, which and Bernie Little, who had such a successful run in the sport, just because beverages and motorsport go hand in hand, and especially hydroplane racing, like we said, because of the spectacle. Um, and the third biggest pointer for us was the support to sponsors. Um, Fans, racers, and teams, as well as organizers in hydroplane racing, are as passionate as no one else in motorsport. Genuinely, people will go racing if it's the last penny in their pocket, and but for good reason. It's to keep alive an American tradition, like you said. Like, American tradition is steeped in motorsport, And if the racers and the teams aren't going to do it, who is? And so we came in out of passion, but also out of knowledge that there's just so much support to sponsors, and it's such a welcoming community. Like everyone is so excited to see us get involved, and like at what we went, Parker and we went out to Hampton, Virginia, and I met Austin there. And Parker was standing in the water holding boats and stuff. Um,
That's awesome.
which was like we could have never imagined that in a million years. Yeah,
Yeah, once you're in boat racing community, you're in deep. Doesn't matter if you start at a sponsorship level or these kids in J stocks. I mean, once you're hooked, you're hooked. But for our viewers, I mean, we've been talking a lot about this and going to dive into it more in like some future episodes. But marketing is so important to boat racing that a lot of people miss it. The social media, Brian Montgomery kind of taught us over the winter, like you got to hit this stuff hard. We've been doing it with Chasing Tails and TKO, and we just see that every fan is so loyal to boat racing. They love this sport so much. It's not like NASCAR where there's thousands of sponsors involved and you don't. I mean, yeah, does a guy drink Budweiser because of the Budweiser car? Maybe, but it's not as loyal. Some of our numbers we've run is like 86% of boat racing fans will buy a sponsor's beverage or sponsor's product because they're involved in boat racing. And I think obviously you guys have seen that firsthand now this year. And I think it's interesting you bring up the Miss Budweiser because that's kind of where we're heading here with our podcast and other things we're working on. Is if you go around and you ask people what's hydroplane racing, they kind of go, I'm not sure, like if they're not fans. But if you say, do you remember the Miss Budweiser? Oh, yeah, yeah. We need to change that. We need something now this century that people
yep,
can relate to and be like, I know that boat.
yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
Liberty
And
and a can's it.
so yeah, and I guess you could call this not in order of importance, but this you could call is our fourth reason for entering. We just saw the absolute success of Anheuser-Busch and Bernie Little with the Budweiser hydroplane to the extent where we saw it was just lacking in this century. I mean, up until 2004, I think they raced.
Yeah.
Um, but overwhelmingly, it's been lacking, and we feel a serious momentum in hydroplane racing picking up, especially like you said through the utilization of social media. Um, I think that's what's going to bring the sport to the next level. Um, and we viewed hydroplane racing as a perfect way as it's coming up on this rise to position ourselves, as an in-house brand similar to Budweiser was, how
Thanks.
Budweiser was.
Yeah. Now, Kyle, Austin, if you guys have anything, jump in. But I'll ask my next question would be what led you to the Grand Prix class and Andrew Tate? Did you know him previously or know him from watching Unlimited? What led you to that decision?
So I I mean, I first watched Andrew and just my first hydroplane race period. I'm from Miami originally, so I kind of got
It's
bit
been a
by
long
like a
time.
speedboat bug. Yeah, I got bit by like a speedboat bug probably in like 2018, first researching offshore and just like the culture in Miami surrounding fast boats, and very quickly came across the Marine Stadium and hydroplane racing, etc. Um, so in 2021, I think it was, um, yeah, 2021, I set up a road trip from Sarasota, where they had an offshore boat race, to Madison, Indiana. And it was a week-long trip where I was like, I'm going to see two forms of boat racing in a week, both that are, you know, good races. But I mean, me personally, I was looking much more forward to the Madison race just after. Um, I didn't see the movie at the time, but I'd read about it. I'd seen photos of the riverbank with like 200,000 people. Um, so after getting there and seeing the spectacle of Grand Prix in person in 2021, it it was like nothing else, and there was much fewer boats back then as well. It was like probably 6 boats total. Um,
I won
but
that year, by the way, and you didn't sponsor me, so something's wrong. There's a disconnect here.
well, so I was gonna say, and well, yeah, I mean, but at the time as well, obviously, I was there completely on a spectator capacity, so we had like
Mhm.
the VIP tickets and all of that, and they were still serving Budweiser, which I think is exclusively Budweiser, which I think is still a great testament to how loyal hydroplane fans are.
Yep.
Um, but it was just excellent racing. The unlimiteds were pretty outpriced uh, for us, as well as we didn't feel it to be as much of a spectacle. The sound of the engines, the acceleration on the straightaways, um, and there's just more deck to deck racing in the Grand Prix class. As far as how we got connected with the 71 team, that's a great question. Um, yes, I had seen Andrew race, I'd seen you race, but we had no connection whatsoever. Um, so I think it was January, we just start calling the H1 Unlimited office. We searched it online. We were like, where's a hydroplane phone number? And we started calling, leaving voice messages. And eventually Steve Lamson got back to us, and he was trying to do his best to make something work for an unlimited. And after several iterations, we're just like, this isn't going to work, but like, we like need to get on a boat. Like, what we're like, we'd be happy to go down to Grand Prix. And like the whole time we were honestly preferring Grand Prix because of how competitive it was, um, and just how tight knit the Grand Prix community specifically is, and HRL as well. Um, so eventually, probably 3 weeks after that call, I get a call back saying he's got a guy named Huey Newport with a Grand Prix hydroplane that won, I think, 8 out of the last 10 Valley Fields.
Yep.
Um, and he's like, I can get you on there. Eventually, we found a copacetic deal, and I got in contact with Huey probably in April. Um, yeah, like April, and we started devising designs, etc., and also just reviewing, how this would benefit ourselves from the engagement, but obviously also the team and the sport. Like what social media capacity we could bring in, any sort of new audiences we could bring in through our existing following and just our expanding following, um, and essentially how we could start positioning ourselves as that Budweiser brand of yesteryear.
There you go.
That's awesome, man. No, I think it's cool how like with the kind of the spontaneous road trip up to Madison, as well as just calling the H1 office, like that's some ambition right there, and like that's what we need in this sport. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people that kind of just like the status quo, or like kind of just roll with it, and guys like you that just want to go out and make it work is that's kind of the young blood in the sport.
yeah, it was very intentional, like you said. I mean, going to Madison that first year was super spontaneous. I stayed in Carrollton, Kentucky, because there's nothing left to book at the time. Um, and I didn't really know what to think when going there, but after leaving there, I was like, this is the coolest shit ever. And I went back, I mean, up until this past year. But, now obviously coming back on a sponsorship capacity.
That's awesome. So, out of all the races you went to, and you guys hit a lot, I believe, this year, which one
Yeah.
stood out the most to you?
I mean, the two that were, I mean, there were three that were really just great highlights for us was, even though Valleyfield was rough. I mean, the whole season was rough. We were plagued by engine issues,
Yeah.
as you guys well know.
Yep.
But Madison was obviously excellent. We knew what we were getting into, but apparently the team had never done the parade or anything like that. And it was just a really nice experience to just spend the time with our Kent was driving then. But also the team was just super hospitable. They loved having, young energy like breathed into the sport. And it was it was just an excellent vibe there, especially along the theme of Americana. Valleyfield was like a spectacle that I
Yeah.
could not have fathomed. It looked like something out of. It looked like what I would imagine would be going on in Miami Marine Stadium if
Yep.
they were still operating.
Yep.
Um, and so I was just completely blown away, so thoroughly impressed. Um, and eventually we were watching the races alongside Andrew after the boat, crapped out. I think it shot a piston through the oil pan.
Yep.
Um, but just the overall experience of Valleyfield is very impressive, and I think a perfect testament to what hydroplane racing can and should be. Um, Formula One and Liberty Media Group has done an excellent job of festivalizing and making a grand appeal of the sport to the masses, which has just done wonders for F1 and in turn, like interest in motorsports and every motorsport. And I think if there can be more races like Valleyfield, that hydroplane racing will be in a very, very good position.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last race that stuck out to me was San Diego, just because it was the only saltwater race.
Yep.
And those boats move out there is really neat. And it was also just very neat to see the beach vibe. I'm from Miami, so like I would have loved to see the skyline of downtown with a rooster tail going by. But I honestly, it was just as good in San Diego. Um, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's all three different races for sure. We've been saying, obviously being involved with River City Printing, that Madison's kind of a mini Valleyfield. They got that vibe there. Unfortunately, we didn't go to San Diego this year, but I've heard the beach. Yeah, it's a totally different thing. Everyone says it's one of the best races. Um, but what's next for you guys with going to these races? Obviously, they're in different demographics, different areas. Are you
Yep.
expanding to retail stores, or is it strictly online sales?
Yeah, so we actually have, and here's another great thing about the boat racing. So like we launched our brand July 4th at Madison, and we secured two retailers in Indiana the month after,
That's awesome.
because our ads or something associated with the regatta had reached them, and we got calls, and so it was amazing to see such an immediate conversion. Um, from every race, we've had consumers purchasing online to their homes afterward. And like we can see that segmented to different geographic areas where these races were. But we're available for retail distribution in Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Indiana, Alabama soon. I believe a shop in Georgia. Um, and right now we're maxing out essentially our ability to independently distribute as we negotiate with legacy beverage distributors.
Okay. Well, it's awesome to hear the immediate impact that we can have. Obviously, there's so much reach. Are you going to be working with race sites moving forward, or strictly just boat sponsorship?
Yeah, so for example, actually, San Diego, we actually did sponsor the race this year as their exclusive cannabis beverage sponsor, and they, graciously were able to give very supportive PA announcements, signage opportunities, um, as well as media opportunities. Um, so we definitely found value in sponsoring the race site. Um, However, the fans just love the boats, obviously. And we will always be present at any race site that we can. Um, so that really just involves paying a right to vend fee. But certain races like Madison, for example, that we think just being such an American tradition on the fourth, um, like where we see that can benefit our brand, we'll probably sponsor going forward. But the races this year we sponsored was for as big an activation as we can get, and we still anticipate sponsoring a handful of races going forward.
Awesome.
When you guys should look into Decatur, Illinois.
I saw the Decatur race I'm from my phone, but it was wild. I've not seen so many 350 and
Oh yeah.
just I guess non H1 boats, like stuff I wouldn't be seeing on the H1 circuit. And I to me it's just mesmerizing because I think these classes are really good testaments to the driving ability, the boat setup, and the equipment. Um, and it just looked like a gorgeous race. So I'd love to get out there.
Yeah, that
Speaking
was
of
one. Or go ahead.
Go
Austin.
ahead.
I think
Speaking
that
of
race was it 20 years
Go
now. 20 years.
Ding dongs.
But it I can't remember how many people they said actually showed up, but I remember we had a wind delay on Saturday, and they opened up the pits to the fans versus like having to pay to get in. And they just did free entry, and I was stuck at the front of the boat for like 2 hours talking to people. I mean, it was just a constant cycle of people coming through. The turnout for a first year return of a race was way better than I think anybody involved with the race expected, and definitely the drivers and the teams that showed up.
That's fantastic to hear. Brian had sent me some of the content there, and he's like, "You should be here." And so, eventually, um, towards the end of the season, I got a text from Bobby King, who invited us to help out at that Hampton Cup Regatta for the 350 Nationals. Um, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I mean, I'd never been to an APBA national or regional event. Um, it was, it was really cool. There was only one day of racing, just because of wind delay on Sunday. Um, but it was good racing, and it was just so cool to see these Grand National mods, I think, and just some models I'd just never seen. And I mean, seeing Austin, you're in the S35, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just overall, it was really cool to see competitive racing without needing to go nearly 200 miles an hour, even though I think that's also badass.
Yeah, there's a mix, definitely. All the way from T boats is where you start at 13 now you can be, and all the way up to unlimited. I mean, there's action to every class. It just matter of what events get the most draw. And looks like next year I think Decatur is going to get one of the biggest inboard draws. There's a lot of races happening in Michigan on that circuit, the APBA inboard side. It's like you said, we talked about a little bit earlier that there's a strong growth happening now. A lot of race sites coming back, new partners in the series, and as long as us teams can step up to the plate and do what we need to do for guys like you, then it'll just continue to grow.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, I do see teams taking a step up and starting to really reap in the benefits of sponsorship and building out their social media outlets, um, and driving value for the sport, the team, and their sponsor. And like you said with the TKO page, you've got that where you're just churning out content that's engaging, that's going to bring new fans, um, and that's what sponsors also look for is exposure. If that's engaging, you're going to get exposure, and whoever sponsor is sponsoring you as well will get that exposure.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, again, back to viewers here on Chasing Tails, it's not about just slapping a sticker on the boat. It's about doing more. So, Josh, I'd come back to you with, and you might have to take a second to think about it. What would you say the top three main criteria for you or a company like yours to sponsor a race boat would be?
Yeah, that does. That's a very good question. Um, I mean, the first thing is budget. Obviously, you have to be able to afford what you're getting into. Um, Competitive payment terms definitely makes a difference. If as a team you're able to take 50 up front, 50 mid-season, or 50 after, um, and you'll still end up with that full amount if you're able to operate throughout the season with that, great. But just some optionality and flexibility um, in budgeting, because most companies, unless they're very passionate about racing, they wouldn't bet, like, if it doesn't work, they're just like turn the other way. Um, so definitely some catering, um, but obviously, like, you guys know what it takes to operate your team. You have to make sure you're being paid properly. Um, Secondly is um, uh, social media and overall uh, visual exposure. Um, so that has anything to do with like when we engaged with Huey, he had a post go out on the GP71 Steeler, or the 777 Steeler Facebook page. We had, different hydro news reposted it. Montwork, everyone just starts sharing it. So that was really neat because that's just a testament to the hydroplane community. But it couldn't have been done, honestly, if Huey and the whole entire team um, hasn't sung our praises to literally everyone they see. Like, they nonstop are talking about us as a sponsor, which has really driven value. So I guess my second point would be make your sponsor just feel visible, um, because that it does drive value. Um, and then third, which kind of is get connected to the second, is that social media output. Um, invite collaboration posts. Make sure you're genuinely setting up your posts to thrive with geofencing, different trending audio, um, exciting, engaging shots, whatever, and make sure to tag your sponsor. Have people repost it on their stories, etc. Like I said, it goes back to the second point, which was visibility. But the social media visibility specifically can help drive sales a lot for a lot of companies. I know you're sponsored by Liqui Moly, Brandon. I can order that online. Um, so if people start getting Liqui Moly ads popping up in their feed, like, that's a perfect example of how effective um, the direct correlation between sponsorship and the race team can be.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And yeah, touching on Liqui Moly, we started that deal in 2021 with when we were with Hearn Motorsports and built it into something good. When we switched teams, we kind of dropped the ball, and they kind of were like, "All right, we're not going to do anything anymore with you." And I was like, "Look, we're going to restructure. We're going to do a lot of social media, get engaging content out there. Just let me do a prove it deal." And this past year, they're like, "You've done exceptional. We're going to continue with you." But that's their main thing right now too. And I mean, this is a worldwide company on Formula One and everything. The
Yep.
sticker on the boat is just a small part of it. It seems like, and it's
It's
different from
just a
back.
small part.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's different from 20 years ago when I was selling sponsorship for my T boat. That they cared only about like visibility either on the boat or like going to their events. But Now it seems like it's flipped and it's mostly social media, which is kind of crazy because now we have to go from boat racers to brand influencers. But
Yeah,
we all seem
it's
to
a
wear that
weird
hat.
age for motorsports now, but I think in a way it almost make. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel the ability to that you're able to reach more potential sponsors with social media than without it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yep.
For sure.
That's
Yeah, and
fantastic.
that's why we've tried to build it up a lot more this year. And now Chasing Tails, we're going to try to do like 2, 3, 4 posts a day just to get that growth, so we can go and attract sponsors for the show to keep building this deal and the media content, all that
Fantastic.
stuff we can create. But yeah, it's a job. I mean, you got to do it, but that's where the sport's getting to. That you don't have to pay for TV anymore. I know a lot of our old traditional racers are like, oh, we can't do it. We're not on TV. Why is cornhole on TV, but we're not? I'm like, the power of the internet is way more than TV this nowadays, and the cost per impressions are a lot less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially YouTube streaming has become very effective, and different racing streaming platforms, I think, is probably where hydroplane racing will end up going, which I think is just as good as cable, if not better, because cable has commercials.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been cool the last 2 years, or like, my first 2 years in the sport, and really getting involved with it outside of just grabbing tools and handing them to my uncle. Was
The wrong tools more times
the
than
wrong
not.
tools, yeah. Well, you guys don't tell me exactly what tool, I ain't gonna get it right. But like, especially with some of the young, jeez, Austin. Especially with some of the
Guessing that was
younger guys, the younger guys that have came into the sport. You got your Eddie Canfouches, your Grant Liddy Coates,
Yep.
Matisse, Jacob, like all those guys being active on social media. It's cool
They've
seeing
done
that.
excellent jobs, and
Yeah.
they've garnered significant followings. I mean, part of the reason, and actually, yeah, to make it very clear, the largest reason we got involved in hydroplane racing was the resurgence of media surrounding it. Period. So, like, I saw Liddy Coat content, some Lupton content, some of Brian's stuff, and your stuff, Brandon. A couple of years ago, like after I'd been at the races in 2021, 22, and 23, and I was like, this is badass and becoming a high quality production. It's on its way. It's well on its way to coming back to exactly what it used to be, in my opinion,
Yeah.
if not better.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, we sat in marketing meetings with HRL last winter, and that's when they decided to bring Brian on as part of their show, part of their editing stuff. And I mean, he rambled for an hour, but he hit home with everything he said about content and all this, and stay consistent on it and make these videos. It's not really that hard. He's like, you're never gonna beat me. But I was like, hey, never tell a racer you're never gonna beat me. It might take me a long, long time, but it's a competition now.
It's a challenge. Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's just that extra kick in the butt, and obviously everything's showing that it's doing the right thing, and excited to be a part of it. Obviously, all of us are fourth generation racers. We've been in the sport for my parents' family's over 50 years, so we just continue.
And that to me is incredible. Like, it is the coolest thing, because the sport would not be anywhere without you guys. Like the true core foundation. So thank you for being badass racers, generational, but also for, like you said, stepping up to the plate and doing these media content creation that is necessary for the growth of the sport. Like, whether it's this podcast or your Facebooks and Instagram, y'all are killing it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So what's next for you guys? Your closing thoughts on 2025? Are you returning to the 71? What's your goals for 2025?
We'll be on the 71 again. We're still ironing out a schedule, just because of H1 conflicts. But we'll be back on it. And we're also looking at a 350 and maybe even a 2.5, but I can't say
Nice.
too much.
There you go. See, once you're hooked, you're sinking or growing. I guess that's not a good way to put it. You're stuck.
Brandon, you're the only one that sinks.
Yeah, I'm the only one that sings. Thanks
Oh my
for bringing
God,
that up.
that was funny.
So you guys
Austin,
got
you're sticking
anything
the
else
mic
there?
back on. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, he
Stopped
had to
it.
put his finger in the hole.
Stop that shit.
You guys
But
have
yeah,
any
no.
closing questions?
Oh yeah. Do you guys have anything?
No, I
I
just
just
want to say thank you, man. Or, Austin, you can go this time.
I guess I have to ask, do you guys, like, can you see the future or something? Because before Hampton, you guys were full Andrew Tate, only with him, and then he raced Bobby King in Hampton, and Bobby King beat him, but you guys were supporting Bobby King that weekend. I think you guys are seeing
Okay.
some,
So
some future.
so we wouldn't have been there actually without Bobby. On the thank Bobby for bringing us there. He sent me a text asking if he'd like to help run the boat during nationals at Hampton. And at that point in time, I didn't really know much about Hampton, so I pulled it up on my computer. I read through it. I was like, "Yeah, we will totally be there." And I was like, the fact that he even texted me, I was like, "This is fucking badass!"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like we're gonna go. So Parker and I went to help out Bobby. They took care of our hotel room, and it was awesome. But yeah, no, it was also just good, to see you, Austin, and
Yeah.
Andrew, and just everyone else who was out there.
Definitely.
But yeah, so we were out there specifically because Bobby invited us. Like we wouldn't have been there otherwise. So
Oh, yeah.
we definitely will always show support to the racers and teams, that take care of us, and we'll take care of them in the sport.
Definitely. Yeah, it was awesome seeing you guys out there. I know you guys showed up. Brian Montgomery from Montwork was out there, and just it was really cool to see everyone out support and you guys getting in the water, holding boats and stuff. And seeing
That was not
sponsors
on
do
my
that
bingo
was-
card, man.
Yeah.
But it's too cool. Like it really was. I mean, like for not coming from a generational hydroplane family, something like that to us is like a once in a lifetime. It's going from a spectator to holding a boat is
Oh yeah.
it's badass. Yeah.
Oh shit. There's always people looking for people to help them hold their
Oh,
boats.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the problem about getting in the water, especially a
You
place
can't
without
get 'em
docks,
out.
because then you might be stuck there all day.
Yeah,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
That's how it was in
awesome seeing you
Pontiac
there.
Lake, man.
Yep, just hold boats all day. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Could not get out of the water.
But no, I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for jumping into the sport the way you have. We kind of touched on it in an episode earlier. You guys and Mercury's Coffee this year have been like the epitome of what we as boat racers and I think the boat race community looks for in sponsors. Because obviously, it's a transaction, but like seeing the engagement that a company brings and seeing them be excited and involved and like following the sport, that makes it all the much more worth it for us as drivers and as teams.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear, and and that resonates with us deeply. Saying that it's not just a transaction. For sponsors and teams to make that sponsorship worth it, it really isn't just a transaction. It's a lot of effort behind the transaction as well, and intentional action to make it bring both parties as far as possible.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, you guys have killed it, and it's been fun to watch. I remember I didn't know anything about Liberty in a Can until Madison. Tried a few of them, probably had a couple too many, but we it's cool to see how fast you guys dove into it, and the fact we've seen sponsors come in for a race and then we've never seen them again. And I was like, damn, they're at every single race.
Yeah, thank you. Deeply appreciate it, and it's our absolute pleasure.
Yeah, well, we definitely appreciate you coming on. Obviously, learned a little bit more about your company and your involvement in hydroplane racing, and we're excited to see you guys next year and diving deeper into hydroplane racing. Look forward to seeing the news about anything else you're doing coming soon.
Thanks so much, Brandon.
I figure we keep the live going.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
We got anything
Well,
to talk about from this week? I mean, I would say we could bounce off of boat racing a little bit and talk about them sports over the weekend. That Lions game was crazy.
Sontag has arrived in Madison with his new 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it was
That's
a
awesome.
day or two ago.
first,
maybe.
Yeah, I saw you
First
said a
off-season
shout out to
boat
Kip
move.
Brown. Kip
Yeah.
Brown drove it halfway out. That's, again, back to what we were just talking about on that podcast, is that the testament of boat racing, the loyalty of our friends, family, all that. It's it takes an army, and you got one with hydroplane racing.
Definitely.
I think with the way, boat racing's kind of had its ebbs and flows over the years, and I feel like we're kind of coming back up a little bit, and it's those type of things, the willingness to help get other boats on the water, get other boats across the country. I mean, when we were building the GP, Dave Shaw met my parents halfway to drive the cell back out to you guys. Like, that's still a long drive. That's still 4 or 5 hours at least, and shout out to Dave for that. And there's so many people like that in this sport. I mean, I don't know many teams that, if they got a spare motor on their trailer and somebody needs it, aren't going to be willing to hand it over for a heat.
Right,
you can have our
exactly.
spare. I don't know if our spare runs.
Someone just texted me, better jump on that Raven train. Ain't no way. Just because the Bucks had an off night. We ain't jumping on no Raven train.
Problem is the Bucks did just lose both their receivers.
Yeah, they're done for the season.
I saw Godwin's happen, and I saw him laying there, and I saw 1 foot sitting up and 1 foot sitting sideways, and I was like, that ain't good.
Nope, that ain't good.
Within 10
but
seconds,
it's
they're like, yeah,
all
we've
right,
been
Kyle.
told we're not selling the replay.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
I
it's
don't
like
want to see
blowing
it
up
low
on TikTok.
key. No, what I was saying earlier though, we stopped in Youngstown on the way home. We got up pretty early and left because we wanted to find like something on the way where they would have all of the games, B-dubs, perfect location. But it was weird. So we're like, I don't know, it's like 15, 20 minutes from Pittsburgh, I think. Maybe 30.
Yeah.
I shit you not. There was somebody in all 32 jerseys in that.
Oh, wow.
We had Commanders
is
jerseys.
wild.
We had Lions jerseys. We had Vikings jerseys. We had Steelers jerseys, obviously. Bengals jerseys. Browns jerseys. There was a guy in a Max Crosby Raiders jersey. I was like,
Oh, my
wait, I
God.
saw Saquon Barkley jersey. I was like, where did you guys all come from? This is Youngstown, Ohio. This is not like an epicenter of anything.
That is wild. Yeah.
It was weird. There were a few Lions fans in there, though. We had some guy that was sitting over a couple tables over from us. I guess we kind of figured out that he was a Lions fan when it came down to the game. And I was chatting with him after, and he's like, I think this dude over there is going to want to fight me after. I guess he had been chirping him all game.
Jesus.
I told my dad, like,
Always
after
fun.
the first 10 minutes, I was like, how y'all feel about leaving at halftime?
I was sleeping in
Yeah.
the car.
I ain't
It
really
wasn't
trying to get
looking
home
good for a
late.
bit.
It was not.
Yeah. Then they come all the way down to that last second with a guy that ain't kicked in like 200 days. That's kind of wild.
Dude, I told my dad, I sweat through my sweatshirt on that drive. I was like, with the time we got, like, this is going to come down to like a 40 to 50 yard Jake Bates field goal. I'm like, I know he hit some 60 plus winners in the USFL or UFL, whatever it is, but shit, man, your
Yeah.
first real high pressure moment away. Fortunately, it was inside.
Right.
Best part
That's
though, he hit the
impressive.
boom, brought the boom after. That was awesome. It's the best celly in the game right now.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of action. Formula One obviously was in Texas, and
Yep.
it's a good race there. Ferrari got their win. That's neat to see. Obviously, we have a lot more of that kind of stuff to talk about when boat racing season's over, but obviously boat racing's still primary. Anything else you guys are hearing out there? Although our drama king ain't here, the guy with all the news.
Yeah, Bob
fake
would
news.
have plenty to talk about.
He's texting us saying he can't join the live or something. It's a shame.
I think he's banned on Facebook. He's trying to watch us.
Yeah,
He's
it's
banned on
about
Facebook.
time.
He said he had to work. Yeah,
It's about
poor guy.
time. It's
Nah.
banned.
It's about time. Yeah, right. He's been in that woods too long. That's the problem. Still trying to find that deer.
He got one.
He got another one.
I'm going out with him Sunday.
Nice.
Oh,
I
y'all
don't-
definitely
still don't
ain't seeing a
sleep
single
on it,
deer.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
bet my
gonna be
wife
I'll be
interesting.
sleeping. I'll be like, this is great. I can catch up on my sleep.
He's like,
Yep.
you can take my tree stand. I'm just gonna stand next to a tree, like, so you're bent around the tree, just sleeping.
What?
Yo,
You're gonna
Yeah,
find him in a pile of leaves, dude.
Yeah,
definitely not for me.
I expect nothing less than him though. I almost expect him to like lay down, fully cover himself with leaves. And
Yeah,
just be
100%. I'm surprised he doesn't. And actually, he does. He does have one. He just doesn't wear it. That dude's got a ghillie suit. Like,
Oh,
who
yeah,
hunts in
he
a
does.
ghillie suit?
Bob.
Like, dude, you're not Chris Kyle. Relax.
He thinks he is.
You're more like Daryl from The Walking Dead. Yeah, I couldn't hunt, man. There's no way. One, I do not have the patience for that shit. There is no. I don't know how Bob has the patience for that.
Yeah, he is very ADHD.
Plus, everybody I talk
Yeah.
to that hunts, they're like, dude, you get like 4 hours in and you're so drunk, there ain't no way you're gonna hit anything. It's like,
Right.
that part I could do, but at that point, why don't I just sit on my couch and drink for 4 hours? Why do it in the woods?
Right. Or at least go golfing. I know I'm going to hit a ball off a tree, just same as I'll hit my bow off a tree.
Yeah. Golfing is a way more enjoyable pastime, especially when drinking, because when you play like shit, you still get to whack a ball with a metal club every time.
You drive a golf cart.
Then take
Yeah.
your frustration out. Not you,
Yeah.
Austin. We ain't driving no golf carts.
No, Austin doesn't drive
Yeah.
no golf carts. No golf carts, no pocket
I don't
rockets.
drive anything. I only drive
Nope.
the boat.
Nope, that's it.
And that's
To be
For
fair,
now.
I did also friggin' run myself into a tree on the 50s.
Yeah. And hit the wall really hard on the go karts. That's
Yeah.
There's a reason
The
why
two
we're
pedal
like,
shit doesn't work very well for me. It's a good thing I know how to use the wing pedal, man. Because not gonna
that's-
lie, I thought about it. I was
that's-
like, I might forget that thing's there.
right? You won't forget when it's going up. It seems to be a reactionary.
Nope.
That's what we said about Theo. We're like, yeah, he's got this fast go kart. Like, it hauls butt with me on it, like with him in between my legs. I'm like, this kid has never rode anything with a brake. And we've seen that failure with both Austin and Kyle. So
Yeah,
maybe we should take him somewhere where somebody else teaches him.
yeah. I would recommend
Definitely.
a really big open parking lot for sure.
iRacing, man. Get the iRacing
Eddie's over
set
here.
back up.
Eddie's asking how you hit trees. They don't move. I beg to differ. I race dirt bikes through the woods and them trees jump out in front of you.
Don't
Yeah, dude,
yes,
that-
they do.
Take
That
my
one-
word
that
for it.
telephone pole
That one
move
moved.
too, dude.
Dude,
A
I
telephone
was
Austin,
gonna
I wish we
miss it.
had
Bam.
pictures of that. I
What,
wish
the
we had
telephone
pictures of
pole?
that. I don't know if it was is the telephone pole at the end of the driveway?
Well, he went into the
to the
bushes
right.
on the pocket.
Yeah,
lot.
he went straight across the street into the bushes.
Yeah,
I
the
still remember to this
pocket
day,
goes
dude. He's
straight
going
across.
off the bank, and he's hanging off the back, holding on to the handlebars.
Hey, there was
The
helmet
best
cam
part was-
footage of that.
The best part was your dad, Dave. He's just like walking down the driveway, like no hurry, with his beer in his hand.
Dude,
like
he was probably laughing so hard.
it's just like I get there when I get there, Austin.
Oh, dude, it was great too because it was on the helmet cam. So when I went across, safety first, you got me looking both ways. Go up in it, and I'm facing down the driveway, just like in the thing like this. So you
Wasn't
just
it
see
like a
the
full
whole length
thorn
of-
bush, too?
Oh yeah, and he just like
Yep,
reached in, grabbed like my chest, and just like lifted me out and set me down.
Yeah, that's when you weighed like,
Super
what,
dad
60
strength.
pounds?
Oh yeah. Hey, one-handed though, because beer was still in the other hand.
Hold
Yep.
my beer.
Yep.
Never set it down.
TJ said he hit it. TJ hit a parked car on his bike in
Had
the
a
Hey,
golf
parking lot.
car with a golf cart.
Bob had the
That's pretty
audacity.
rough.
Bob had the
Sorry,
audacity
Sandy.
like 2 weeks ago to back his truck into somebody's grill or into somebody's hitch with a backup camera and complain it was because
I
they
did-
were parked too far into his parking spot.
Yep. I forgot my hitch was on. Like, come on, bro. Like,
You got a backup
don't see,
camera.
man.
Crazy.
I
dude.
just-
Yeah, no
That's
more
way too
golf
funny.
carts for me.
Good thing about when I crashed the dirt bike is I think nobody saw, if I remember right. I was out riding that thing in the front yard by myself. There was like
No,
the
I remember you going into the woods behind Poppy's trailer at one point.
I crashed twice. Because the one
Oh,
the
I
time
think-
I'm
Probably.
thinking of was like way up at the
We
front of
really
the
think
yard.
we
I was
only
coming
crashed
around the one
once.
tree, and jumped ruts and basically launched myself off of the bike and went straight into the trees in between Nanny and Poppy's yard and whoever's next to them.
Yeah.
I railed that tree, dude. That shit hurt.
You know, we did.
I went up the tree at 4 years old on the dirt bike because I had training wheels on that thing and it didn't turn. So I just went straight up the hill up the tree because I didn't know how to let off the gas.
Oh, so you had that problem too?
Yep.
Almost running the family, man.
It does.
I wish we had
That
footage
stuff
of me
is
hitting
out
that
in
wall
my
and
yard, man.
in that go-kart track. That was awesome.
Oh, full send straight into the wall.
Dude,
at least you turned a little bit.
180-degree turn, no lift.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's crazy how things have changed though, because not a single tire will touch that grass anymore besides the lawnmower.
Yeah.
Right. Ain't it
And
crazy?
Sandy will have your
Wait
butt.
till Theo gets his quarter midget. If we switch quarter midgets, I already told Dad. I said there's probably going to be a course in the front yard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're not allowed to even walk on the front yard, but
Yeah.
Theo will have his own little quarter midget track.
Dude, I remember
He's
that
like,
one
nah,
year.
in the back. I'm like, where? So we can
Where?
run into the shop. We got enough of those stories.
Yeah.
The one year we came out there, it was like when I first really got into golf. I was like, I'm gonna bring a couple clubs, hit some balls out in the front yard. It's long enough. And my mom was like, you better bring a mat. I'm like, why? She's like, Aunt Sandy ain't gonna let you hit golf balls off her yard. I was like, why not? Got there, I was like, Aunt Sandy, is it okay if I hit golf balls in the yard? She's like, nope. Shit, all right. Well, good thing I brought the
Particular,
mat.
I'll tell you.
Low-key, Dad pulled right into the grass when we got there on maybe the
Everybody
first-
does, man. Big
Yeah.
driveway, and everybody just does a U-turn in the front
Yeah.
yard. It's like, what are y'all doing?
Pretty much
remember-
can do a U-turn in the main area too.
Yeah, y'all missed the time. Speaking of go-karts, y'all used to miss the time going to St. Felician. Did you ever go there when they had the little go-kart track? Oh,
Not when
man.
they did the go-karts.
I almost got divorced up there one night because, I was in there trying to be competitive with all these other boat racers. Carson's in there, and I'm leading. And I'm like, you best get out of my way. I gave her a little love tap. And then I spun her ass out. Came back around like 5 laps later. She's in my way again. And I think Tremblay's on me. I'm like, I ain't losing this race. So I spun her out again. And that time, Joe Sovey T-boned her. And she's like, it was a big guy to hit me. She didn't speak to me the rest of the night for sure. I was like, but I won.
That's awesome.
Hey, that's awesome.
We gotta find a race to bring something like that back at.
Hampton's a good one. We went to a
They got
go-kart track
one
there
out there?
once. Yeah. We got kicked out of that one, but
I feel like that's bound.
they don't like when you shut people's cars off and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Do they drink
I
at
can
go
see
kart
that.
tracks? Is that a
Yeah.
thing?
No, but you can drink before you go.
no,
Fair enough.
actually the one out here by us, I went and it was kind of stupid. So I go karting. I drive once. I'm driving 3 times. I buy 2 beers. I go riding again, and then I ask to go to the rage room, and no. So I can
You can't
drive
rage.
a golf cart or a go kart at like 40 miles an hour with other people and kids, but I can't go in a room by myself and break glass with a bat.
That doesn't seem like it makes sense.
No,
I feel
it's
like the rage
total-
room would
Yes.
be like a minimum of 4 drink requirement.
Yeah, you have to be drunk for
Yeah,
that. You gotta
Exactly.
really loose.
That's how you're going to get the real rage out.
Yeah, right.
That's
Shoot, the
stupid.
Who's
go-kart track at Wildwood was probably the best one because everybody used to go to the boardwalk. I was Tommy, Bobby, me, Billy, Carson, everyone, like a bunch of racers, and we're running. And next thing you know, I just started going backwards on the track. Just like straight NASCAR on the video game thing, hitting them. They got so
Just the-
mad. They're
the
like,
Max
get out. So I like
Verstappen
got
song.
up. Yeah, the dude's like, I'm calling the cops, and he like pushed the cart and like ran over my foot. I'm like, you cut my toe off. We made a scene. They definitely did call the cops, but we ran and we was gone. Next day, some guy comes up. He's like, hey, why'd you get the cops called on you at the go-kart track last night? I'm like, I wasn't there. He's like, yeah, you were. You had your Hall of Champions jacket on. I'm like, well, that was pretty stupid of me, wasn't it? Wear my name around doing stupid shit.
What was the one we went to when we come visit you guys in Daytona?
Oh,
or maybe
there-
when we
there
would
was
just
a
go
little
down to
go-kart track.
Daytona.
Yeah, there's a little go-kart track. I forget what it was called, but next to the Hooters.
Oh, where we had the
I remember the
Talking about
last-
drunks during
Yeah.
the 500 weekend. God dang, that's a
That's usually
shit
when we
show.
would go there. I remember the last year we went, I got to ride in the dragster thing they have there. That was probably the first time I ever asked about
Yeah.
brakes because I got in and I started like shitting myself. I'm like, what if I don't stop?
Thing takes off, yo.
I'm like, Dad, where are the brakes? There weren't brakes. It was supposed to shut off on its own, but I was panicking, dude. I was like, this is
That was
not
it.
good. I'm
That
gonna
was
drive.
so cool. Like looking back at that, like it was a small block Chevy in that thing, and just you take off. I mean, I don't know if it went 100 feet, but like it for someone that doesn't have
Oh,
that
it
kind
threw
of
you back.
experience, man, it's freaking cool.
I wanted to ride that. I wanted to ride that thing my whole life. Like I had been to that track like 5-6 times, and I was never old enough or never tall enough. And then finally, the last year, I was like, yes, finally. I remember for the longest time, I had to ride when me and Austin would do go karts. We'd have to ride with Dad. That shit sucks, man. There's no fun in riding in go karts.
Right?
Not with
No,
him.
not at all.
When he does
No.
not brake going into the apex, and you're on the
Well, and you have the most unbalanced
weight
go kart
side?
of all time.
and you just
He's got 150
Right.
extra pounds on one side.
yeah, it
Just crushing you.
It doesn't work.
Oh my god. Dude, that wasn't as bad. When we went up to Avalanche Bay. It's like Boyne's water park
almost
resort
died.
up there. Me and my dad did the toilet bowl slide with the double tube, and like right in the middle, like the drop down, there's a level off and then a drop down again. Well, I was in the front, so we hit that drop off, and the fucking thing went straight. I smoked the top of the slide. We end up both upside down. He's on top of me. I ended up with
Oh
like
my
gashes on my face and shit. It was ridiculous. They came and fell out the toilet bowl at the end. They're like, "What happened?" I was like, "I don't know." I was
don't
going
know.
straight. Next thing you know, I hit the freaking slide.
I believe I just got my first concussion.
Oh, 100%.
Dragging him out of the
100%.
water to get him to
Oh, I was dead, dude. I was bleeding in the pool and shit. It was bad.
I'm just like
I spent the rest of my weekend on the lazy river.
It's safer there. It's
Hell
safer
yeah,
there.
it was.
Oh man.
that was bad.
But yeah, I think we're about to the wrap up point of this episode, obviously. Anybody got closing thoughts? We're going to have some, I know we're talking about having some new guests on. Got a guest list. Thanks for everyone commenting on that post. If you have anyone else, send us a message. We're getting the list going. Obviously, the episodes will be a little shorter, bringing people on, unless they're characters like Mike Monahan and he just talks to himself for a while. But it would be fun. Get to learn some more of these war stories in boat racing and different avenues of people involved.
Yeah.
What do you
no
think?
doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for the off season ones, getting people involved. You know, like you said, we're gonna have some characters on throughout the off season, and the best part about boat racing, you know, I've been around it my whole life, and like I hear a new story every weekend. Every race we go to, I hear something new, and they're all good. They're all funny.
Yeah, definitely. About you, Austin, any closing thoughts for this episode?
No, I'm just excited to see off-season brings. Hoping some teams and hopefully, admittedly, me and maybe my two brothers can do a little bit better with keeping some posting going, getting some other teams to
Yeah.
post, just keeping up on the social media. Take it from someone that's been doing it for a couple years, Brandon. He's always on it, and you guys can see the results between our team page and this page. It speaks for itself. We need to be posting, getting those sponsors like Liberty in a Can, and just building the sport.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
how many
that's-
times have you seen something just pop up on your Instagram feed that you've never seen before? Like that doesn't happen unless you're getting clicks, you're getting videos out, you're getting likes, comments, subscribes. You know, like Brian said, like it's not really necessarily about the quality of the content, but the consistency of the content. Obviously, quality content's better, but if you're
Yeah.
consistently putting out videos, pictures, how-tos, anything you can think of, like really anything helps. Nothing's gonna hurt.
Yeah, I think actually before we wrap up, we can roll into that a little bit more. I've been doing a lot of research in the social media, and you might think like when I started doing a lot with TKO, trying to build that page, it was like, man, people are going to get tired of seeing TKO. In my mind, I was like, I don't really care. I want everybody to see it every day. It's fine. We're going to grow this thing. But I read somewhere that only 1% of your followers actually see your post. So it's not the people that are following you that are seeing it. It's people that don't know anything about sport or outside your close net family and friends. And that's big. I mean, like I said, my biggest goal is to change the description of when someone asks what kind of, do you race hydroplanes? What's that? Do you remember the Miss Budweiser? I want that to not go away because it's a good heritage, but for them to understand what a hydroplane is, because they're like, oh, I saw it on TikTok or I saw it on Instagram, and just do those kind of things. And that's why you're going to see a lot out of Chasing Tails. But even for teams out there, this is how you build. You just heard it from Josh from Liberty in a Can, is build your social. Don't be afraid to post what you think is a stupid picture to post. Somebody's going to love. It could be a bolt and you're like, hey, is this a fine thread or a coarse thread? Like, people love content. And obviously, if you're not getting the views, your content sucks. So amp it up. But
when in
don't
doubt,
be afraid to
just
start.
sand something wrong. People
use
love it.
tools wrong.
You're good.
Use tools wrong.
Use tools wrong, and it will do just fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's you see the trending things on TikTok. That's like 5 ways not to do this. Well, Austin showed us 3 of those, and that's one of our highest viewing things.
Brandon just forgot to record when I did the other 2.
And
Yeah,
I was just working, so.
Yeah, had I known all that content would be the way it was, I would have got way more. We would have had videos
you
on
should have
every
just had
corner of that
GoPro
boat while
hooked up.
y'all were there.
I still think one of my personal favorite videos was just when we all flipped the boat over.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how many people, someone that sees one of the boats done, completed. No one thinks that 4 guys can just take one of those, lift it up, flip it over, drop it. That probably I know I showed a couple guys that worked that, and these are guys that work with really heavy robots all day and aren't too used to doing crazy stuff like that, but they're like, what the hell? Like, they finally saw that it is a full carbon fiber boat and just how light they are, and they hear the 150 180 horsepower that our 2.5s are putting out, but when you only weigh about 1,050 1,025 pounds, they get moving.
Yeah, complete. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just anything like that.
That video of us flipping the boat almost turned into a video of somebody shitting themselves. Just probably would have got more views.
Good thing we didn't have the audio on. Dave's loud fart.
That thing up, and I was like, what the hell are we doing? We're like laying foam down on the ground and shit. I was like, are we going to drop this?
Oh, me and Dad flipped the Grand Prix by ourselves, man. It was probably one of the most sketchy things I've ever done. But we felt confident in the moment. We're like, we're not going to drop it. We're okay.
That's wild, dude. We had 4 people on the 2.5, and like, worst case scenario, I feel like we would have dropped that thing. My dad could have caught it, but you guys had me on the catching side. I was like, I might have to make a business decision if this thing falls.
Right.
That was a fun day, though. You should have just done a bunch of videos of us putting on Bondo.
Yeah, that's it. How not to do it.
How not to do it. I got so sick of sand.
You hire a professional.
Yeah.
That's why we did not film the first weld I did on that trailer either. That thing lives in infamy. One of these days, probably this winter when I come out, I'm just gonna
fixing it.
There's a couple
grind it down
that I started looking throughout the season, just curious how they were holding up, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, I don't even remember fucking doing that, and I can't believe I left it looking like that. I can't believe it hasn't broken.
Man, when you got that many welds and you got like a day to do it, there's some times where you start cutting some corners.
And like, I've welded in school. I've done a header or 2. I've like, that was my first ever actual welding project at all.
Yeah, they made it through the year.
It made it a year. Like I said, I wasn't
warranties up, Ronnie.
Yeah. Anything after this, I can't promise, but
hey, it held up better than the wheel. We're on our 3rd wheel.
Yeah,
just keeps breaking, man.
I think we got maybe a month or 2 months. We'll see. We'll have to check in on Paul Barber. You know, this man said he's never building a trailer again. Now he's building a Grand Prix trailer for Mike Grindel. I was like, dude, you know there's no money in building trailers, right? He's like, I know. We talk about it all the time. Every winter we talk about it. Somehow he got suckered back in.
That's ridiculous. Grand Prix trailer too. Like, you gotta do a bunch of crazy shit.
Oh, they're a mess. It takes out toes. That's how I lost my toe, was building the Grand Prix trailer.
No, thank you. I'll admit it was
Yeah.
fun and it was a good learning thing. I mean, I had just about every type of weld that I could have wanted or possibly could have gotten on that trailer.
Yep, just
From
try it. Yep.
circular, flat, down, everything.
Yep.
So I got really good practice and probably can weld quite a bit better now from it. But
Yeah, you wind up finding the ones you like, and then you just use the hoist to move the trailer so you can weld them all in that same position.
yeah, not
But
with
yeah.
you guys heckling me.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, somebody's got to heckle. That's how you get better at things, or faster. One of the two.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I think that wraps it up for episode 27. You guys need to get out there, post some content. If you don't know how to post content, message us. We'll help you out. If you want to just post it on Chasing Tails, send it to us. We'll make it cool, post it up. If you like these things we're starting to do now of caption this, and if you saw it on our social page today, send us something. Man. We love to post that. We got an extended reach of goofy people that love to comment back, and it's no holds bar. You know, I don't know. HRL hasn't told us if the code of conduct applies to us yet, but if you get a letter, I guess it does. But for now, you're safe, and make sure you like, subscribe, follow all our channels at Chasing Tails Podcast, and we'll see you next week or the following week. We'll let you know.
Sure.